right, so looking at these two problems, it's important to notice that because there is only one term in the denominator here, we can split it up into several little fractions, in this case, two fractions. Whereas if you change this problem just with a plus 2 in the denominator, then in that case you have two terms, and that changes the structure of the problem to the point that you cannot split it up and you would need to use the quotient rule. So I just want to go through this question where we would split it up when we only have one term in the denominator and talk about how you would simplify it into one fraction. So the first thing that I would do is I would not take the derivative first. I would split it up into e to the negative x over e to the x plus 1 over e to the x. Then what I would do is I would simplify. And we can simplify this very nicely because we can bring up this e to the x into the numerator, and when we do that, we will bring it up as a e to the negative x. So again, this, when we bring it up into the numerator, will become an e to the negative x, and the same thing for the second term. This, when we bring it up into the numerator, will become an e to the negative x. All right, so before we take the derivative, we're going to simplify a little bit more. So we will have e to the negative x plus another negative x gives us negative 2x, and then plus e to the negative x. So all of this work was just simplifying. Now we are actually going to take the derivative. Now remember that in order to take the derivative, we will have to use our rule for e to a power, and that is that we write down the exponential and then we take the derivative of the exponent. So here we will have e to the negative 2x, so that will become e to the negative 2x, and then multiplying by the derivative of negative 2x just gives us negative 2, again because we have an x to the first power. Then we have plus e to the negative x, and then multiply by the derivative of negative x to get negative 1. Now, at this point, we need to simplify. So usually we bring the coefficients out in front. So this would become negative 2e to the negative 2x, and then minus e to the negative x. Now, it is common oftentimes with all these negative exponents that we want to write them as positive exponents. So if you were looking at answer choices, you might not see anything like this, because what they might have done is they might have gotten a common denominator. So if I rewrite it so I have positive exponents, I would be looking at something that looks like this. But then I would want to get a common denominator. Now keep in mind that e to the 2x is the same as e to the x, e to the x. And when we talk about getting an LCD, we always choose the higher or highest power of that factor. So our LCD here isn't just going to be e to the x, it's going to be the higher or the bigger factor, bigger power, which is going to be 2x. So we want to get an LCD of e to the 2x. So to do so, I would take just the second fraction and multiply by e to the x over e to the x. So then our numerator will look like negative 2 minus e to the x over e to the 2x. So again, any of these answers, you could have negative exponents or you could have one fraction, would be acceptable. A lot of it just depends on what the answer choices might look like.